A galactical, cosmagical welcome to Celestial Soul. We're doing an exclusive interview with Ra'MaleeQ, the Celestial Sultan of Seminole Soul. Ra'MaleeQ, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about your name a little bit. Ra'MaleeQ, very strong name, very powerful name. Is that your birth name? How do you come about this name?
No, it's not my birth name. Ra'MaleeQ is actually the name of my ether ego. And Ra'MaleeQ is Ra'MaleeQ in and of itself. That name is a combination of two words, which means God is King. It's first part is Kemetic, the second part is Arabic. And moon, being a celestial orb, is I consider myself more in tune with the celestial aspects of a lot of things regarding life. So the moon is reflective of that. The majority of the time we see the moon at night, and it's what casts light upon darkness. So that is what that aspect of the last name means.
Casting light upon darkness. I like that. Beautiful, beautiful. Describe your creative process. You are a music producer, music maker. Describe the process. What would you call yourself? I know that you've been calling yourself the High Priest of Beats, the Celestial Sultan of Seminole Soul. Talk about that a little bit and the creative process as it relates to you being the High Priest of Beats and so forth.
Okay, well, the High Priest of Beats, that's not anything that I came up with myself. That was a very, 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 very special person to me, gave me that title. And I just kind of, and being the worst critic, the harshest critic of myself, it was something I didn't really want to impose upon myself. But after a while, you come to realize the reality about a lot of things you're in denial about, and it's ultimately, there is truth, to that title. So I embraced it, and I expressed it, and I still express it, to the best of my ability, the fullest I'm capable of doing so. My creative process, I'm inspired by a lot of things that go on around me. My life's experiences, what I see, what I hear, what I feel, what I anticipate. All of these things are a part of the creative process. But I would say that initially it all starts with with a thought, and that thought also being, it could be a feeling. I could have. It can be a mental emotion, it could be a spiritual emotion, it could be an emotion on the physical plane, but it starts as a thought, and from that thought I articulate these thoughts through sound. I like to say one of my slogans is seeing with your ears. Is that I try to project a picture with sound, so that is just a bit more of a complicated process than that, but in the simplicity of it, that's how it starts off. Just having a thought and then translating that thought into sound, translating that thought into visual sound, and from that point, I just continue the conversation. The music is a conversation to me, so I continue adding words to the conversation and allow the music to speak to the interpreter, and how, whatever way they feel it, it speaks to them. So that's the creative process.
You said it starts with a thought, emotion. You use the word emotion repeatedly there a bit. So for you, music is emotional more than anything else. Is that true? Would you say so?
Yes, and I say that because there's the music has there's tones and vibrations in it, and tones and vibrations are the exemplification of energy. And this vibration, this energy, it stirs something inside of you. It moves you. For example, low tones or bass moves you in a different, compels a different mood than, say, higher tones in music. So it's it depends on how I'm feeling, but ultimately balancing out this, these tones, evening out these tones, making, depending on what frequency I'm on, making one more prominent than the other, but that's how that works.
How did you get started in music? How long have you been doing music now, you would say?
I would say for eons. I think that I've been here before, and speaking in a sense that everyone can relate to, I think it's in my blood. I know that it's in my blood. I grew up around music, musicians. My grandmother being an organist in the church. My mother being a pianist. I had aunts that sang. I had an uncle that played, guitar and keyboards. And another aunt that was, she was a pianist. So I've always been influenced. I've always been around it. It's my influence. I would go in the back. My uncle would play guitar. I'd sit in the back room with him and listen to him play guitar. This was when I was, like maybe 4 or 5 years old, I think. And the thing about this is that, and I have, like regarding my bass lines are an adaptation of what I would hear my uncle play on the bass guitar. So all of those things that I was influenced by is embedded, in my sound. So that's why the music is so near and dear to me, because it's not anything that I just started doing that influenced it. It's something like it's childhood vibrations and energy and emotions that is brought this to light to this day. So I had an aunt. She was always playing the records and listening to a lot of funk and a lot of just all types of music. I grew up around listening to all kinds of music, classical, light rock. I listen to heavy rock. I've listened to all types of music. So I'm influenced by a lot. But I would say that in essence that it's something that's in my blood. It's it's in my soul, in my spirit.
What instruments do you play?
Wow. I started out with I guess the first instrument may have been an organ that my uncle had. I remember him having an organ. He I think he brought the organ back from Japan with him when he came back from Japan. But maybe prior to that, it may have even been, playing around on the guitar and keying around with the piano. But primarily, like now, it's I'm doing a lot of my work using using keys. So I would say that that's probably, primarily, my instrument. Percussion. Some would argue that a piano isn't a percussion instrument, but it is, because the hammers strike the strings to generate the sound. So percussion instruments, primarily, and with the innovation of electronic technology, those pianos now are all digital. So we're dealing with keys once again, but say percussion instruments, the pianos, and I favor the rhythm, drums and things of that nature. So I think that anything that I put my hand on, I can master it. It's just a matter of generating, getting out of it what you want. Just basically. So.
Yeah. You have spoke about your influences in your family. I hear a lot of women, it sounds like.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. Women are heavily influencing your music, it seems.
Quite possibly. I was the firstborn, and firstborn, my mother's firstborn child, and then I had aunts around that were very loving women, a grandmother who was a very loving woman. So that is reflective in the music as well. The that love, is conveyed, in the music. So, like I said, as I was saying earlier, that a lot of my childhood influences and my experiences are manifested, or in my music today. So yeah, my mother, my aunts, my grandmother, very, very loving women, and I was showered with that love. So it's a manifestation of my experiences.
Well, I find it very interesting because your surname now is Moon, and so since you've been talking about your influences being women, it's quite profound that you would come into an ether ego, as you called it, with the last name Moon. So that's
Right.
really beautiful.
Thank you.
Talk about some of your, you talked about classical music and light rock and soul and R&B, all these different influences, your family, of course. Talk about artists that influenced you the most, you would say.
A lot of artists that have influenced me the most, I would probably say, are a lot of your older school artists, where music was like they were brothers and sisters were really like composing. Music. There was emotion in the music. The music meant something. It was relative to an era. It was relative to a movement, and it was something that could really move you. There was a message in it. There was a message in it. So I would say like a lot of my influences are old school, from the 70s, even from the 80s, a lot of influence. Curtis Mayfield, the Doobie Brothers, the Bee Gees, like I said, the list goes on and on. Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, a lot of music, from the motherland, from Africa, just rhythm, everything, if it has a positive influence and is generating positive energy, and there's something relative to it that speaks to me, be it in lyric, or the instrumentation, I've been influenced by it. So the list, could go on and on and on. There may have been an influence that may not have been musical. It may have been someone speaking a kind word or speaking a profound thought that influenced me to, create a piece, to compose a piece. So I'm inspired and influenced by everything in life that's positive, everything that's relative to, pure love and something meaningful, deep within the soul, and the light of the spirit. That's what I'm influenced by.
So who's in your iPod right now? What songs, what artists?
Oh man.
Name maybe, give me 5.
Wow. Amel LaRue, Guapale, I have some Curtis Mayfield. I have, of course, my own material, and Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Talk about Kendrick Lamar just a little bit.
He's a brother from California, from LA, young brother, and very artistic brother. The brother's gifted, talented brother. I like what he's doing with music. It's refreshing to hear someone tell stories and they're not following the trend. They're not following the trend. He's in his own lane, doing his own thing, and I can respect that. Even like Lupe Fiasco. These brothers are doing with music. They're innovative. They're trendsetters. They're not following the trend. They're trendsetters. So I respect that greatly. Because they're not doing what everyone else is doing.
On that note, talk about your feelings or your thoughts about the current, let's say, mainstream musical landscape. How do you see it? You have some adjectives to describe it.
Um, hmm, it needs help. I say that in all seriousness because there isn't a message out there anymore. There's just words, and there's a trend that's being conveyed. You know, musically, there's a trend that's being conveyed, and it's so influential upon not only youth but older people. You know, it's taking um, our morality, it's taking our sensibility, it's taking those things that we should truly value and cherish. It's taking those things and putting them on a plane that is not conducive to uh, a right living, and not trying to sound. It's not balanced. I think is what I'm trying to say. There's no balance. You know, it's one-sided, and it's weighing so heavy on the one-sidedness that it's like as if we're going like deeper and deeper into a pit because there's no balance. So I would say that mainstream needs help, and I don't so much blame it on the artist, but I blame it on like some of the labels, the record labels, because when the music was, when it had a positive message, you didn't see a whole lot of money floating around when it was a positive message. But once the powers that be saw the influence that it had on people, and that you could actually generate substantial revenue from it, then it was to a degree it was infiltrated and exploited. And that's what's going on now. We're being exploited on so many levels. The debasement of women, glamorization of those things that are destructive, and they say that art imitates life, but now you find that life is imitating the art. So with regards to that, we need help. We need help. I think that it's kind of stagnant right now, also because everyone is doing so much of the same thing, and there is no movement. So it's time for a breath of fresh air. Something new, and to take it back to what it used to be. And I think that right now we are in that retro movement. We're in that retro stage where those who weren't before will be. Will be now. So it's time for a change, and I think that that's what's happening right now. There's some things bubbling under the surface that are going to change the soundscape. Regarding music.
Okay. How do you think technology has influenced music in general and your music specifically? Some of the maybe pros and cons. How do you see that?
Pros. I would say that personally, it's allowed me to compete at an industry level. Having my own equipment, and being able to pull or have different countries or different regions at your fingertips, with the invention of Facebook, Twitter, and these different YouTube, these different cyber forms of cyber media. You can actually you can promote yourself without the assistance of a label. You promote yourself, and I think that's a benefit. I think one of the cons is that that same cyber stream that the positive music is generated through, you have what's adverse to the positive music being pumped through these cyber streams as well. So I think that's that's a downfall. that's one of the cons, is that, the same pipeline that, you're trying to, pump your media through, the industry and others are pumping their same, their information through this cyber stream as well. And once again, it goes back to, being a money engine. If the more money you have behind you, the easier it is for you to, be it bandwidth, be it, different sites that are asking you, well, you're gonna need to put up X amount of dollars to, do this advertisement, to do this, to do that. It's those, I think those are, one of the cons. And don't get me wrong, I know that, everyone's pretty much in the business to make money, but sometimes, it's just like when the little man is in an arena where he can play and, do his thing, get his thing off. It's like the giant is trying to infiltrate and take over everything. You try to create something, and an entity comes in that has more money or more power or more influence, and they're trying to either stomp you out or get you on board with what they're doing. So, pros and cons.
Pros and cons. Talk about static frequency.
Static frequency. That is it's my first CD release. It's a compilation of a lot of things. I can't really articulate it. I can't put it into words. It's something that you have to listen to. But it's a beautiful piece of work. It's rhythmic. It's sonic. There's a profundity to it, and it displays my versatility as far as production is concerned. As far as keys and a little bit of sampling and skips and this, that, and the other. So I recommend everyone. I recommend Static Frequency to everyone. You can Google it. STATIQ frequency. And it's available at iTunes. It's available at Amazon, SoundClick, SoundCloud. Just Google Static Frequency. STATIQ frequency. Pick it up for yourself. Give it a listen. And you be the judge of what it is to you.
Okay. Talk about Mastermind's Master Plan.
The Mastermind's Master Plan. That's my latest release. That's a compilation as well. That is it's a bit of a turn from Static Frequency in that it's addressing. The intent of it was to get the listener to address the reality of who they are. Being honest with who they are, and to want more than the status quo, to want more than mediocrity. And it's for lack of better terms, an addendum to what I was mentioning earlier about balance, in music and where music is going now. It's an addendum to the person that wants more than the mediocrity, wants better than what's mediocre. It's an addendum to that. So that's available online as well.
Talking about balance, talk about SunQ Moon. What is SunQ Moon?
SunQ Moon Creative Partnership. That is a multimedia publishing platform that I'm engaged in with my business partner, Aida SunQ. And it is a creative partnership that is expressed and based upon love, and it's like the yin and the yang. Everything that are opposites that attract, that creates an energy. The sun and the moon. The sun being the fire, the moon being cooler, but the moon reflecting the light of the sun. As I was referencing with the moon shining, light upon the darkness, at night. This is what SunQ Moon is also reflective of. It's like fire and ice, and the energy, the complementary energy, and the love that brought this into existence. It's wow, it's a beautiful, very beautiful creative partnership. And you want to learn more about Sun Q Moon, you can Google Sun Q Moon. You can Facebook Sun Q Moon, or you can go to sunqmoon.com. Yeah.
Talk about Sun Q Moon. What's coming up for them, for you all?
Right now we have the Celestial Serenade of a Soul Sister. That will be released hopefully on a grand scale within the next, before spring or by spring, and that is an ode. It's a dedication, a reverence to women. They're pieces that are spoken word pieces, compiled and expressed by men, dedicated to women. So all of the artists on this compilation are male spoken word artists, and all of the pieces are dedicated to women.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tell me your favorite song right now, today. I know it can change, especially with creative types. But today, what is your favorite song?
My favorite song. Wow. I don't have one. I don't have one. I think if it speaks to me, it's my favorite. And there's a lot that's speaking to me, today. And like with music, I travel the globe. Like right now, I'm in Europe. I'm in Europe right now, so I'm into my chill and my lounge music, and that's what my creative energy is right now regarding that. It's like an eclectic blend of lounge and hip hop and some other things going on. It's like a celestial urban feel to it, if there is such a thing. Well, there is such a thing. So that's about where I am now. So I would say that my favorite song right now is anything that is speaking to me. Anything that is speaking to me is my favorite.
Your favorite instrument?
My favorite instrument, the cello.
The cello?
Yeah, the cello. Yeah.
Why the cello?
The richness and the depth of the instrument. If I were to be an instrument, I think I'd be a cello.
Nice.
Because it appears it has a personality, not a loner personality, but a thinking personality. If you can imagine seeing a cello out in the middle of nowhere, it would appear to be as if it's thinking profoundly about something, and if it's contemplating its own soul. And I can relate to that, and listening to the richness and the depth of the instrument. I've always favored, the string instruments in that regard, and the cello being, that instrument.
Your favorite color today?
Green.
Green.
Yeah.
Why green?
Green is symbolic of life, resurrection. It has a richness to it. It has a purity about it, and it's energetic. And because it's my favorite color, it doesn't necessarily mean that I wear it all the time, but it has a lot of relevance to me regarding those facets. Green.
So you are a green cello.
An emerald green cello.
An emerald green cello.
Yeah.
So now we have a new ether ego for you, Mr. Moon.
That would be
the emerald green cello.
There you go.
And so in closing, any thoughts about President and Mrs. Obama?
Well, Yeah, there's, it's this is like really like another conversation, but
It's another conversation.
yeah, but I would say, to one degree, it's I don't think that you should elect someone based on their color. I
Yes.
think the person should be elected based on their capability, their ability to do the job.
Yeah.
And we understand, in campaigning, it's what people do. They tell you what they can do for you. So I think it was a long time coming. The tides are changing, and it's symbolic of change, not only here but around the world. There's a revolution going on worldwide, and there's a revolution going on here in the country. And President Obama being elected president was symbolic of something that is changing, a changing tide here in the country and the thinking of people. Um, I wish him the best, him and his wife and the children. I wish them the best in all of their endeavors um, regarding, their personal life and, politics. So, that being what it is, we could sit down and talk about this on another level. But, yeah, I think it was, it's a brother in office.
Very well. So, do you want to leave our viewers with any final thoughts? Maybe your a word of wisdom that's speaking to you at this time, something to share to close out finally.
4 words.
4 words.
Manifest what you profess.
Beautiful.
And exemplify that through what you say and what you do. We're not all perfect, but we can strive for it. So don't be deluded into thinking that you can be a perfect person. This is not true. We strive to be better. This is my own personal mantra, striving to be better. So we should strive to, being better, to make the world a better place. Not a perfect place, make it better. But it starts with you. There's a quote that says, "You must be the change that you wish to see in the world." So if everything else around you is not where you want it to be, at least you can be what you want it to be. Without the aid and assistance of anything else or anyone else around you. You can be that, what's positive. You can be what's better. You can be what's good. You can be what's wholesome. So don't be influenced by trends. Do your own thing. And strive and struggle in that. And eventually that what you want will, it'll manifest itself. But it's gonna take, it takes hard work. So manifest what you profess. And be a good example of that. And that would be it.
We thank you, Mr. Moon. What a beautiful final wisdom. Thank you for joining us with the Celestial Soul interview.
My pleasure. Infinite gratitude and thanks to you, sister. Peace.